Hey, and welcome to a special episode of the Get Bumped podcast, recording live from, not live. Oof, start over. I don't know either. It's a new thing every time. What's going on, guys? Brandon Crossland here. Welcome to the Brandon Crossland YouTube channel, home of the Get Bumped podcast for the time being, with our panel of guys. As usual, we got the gang all here. Brian Phillips, we've got Don Henley, and these names may or not be real. These are just the names that I've developed over time for us. We've got Ryan Coca-Cola. That's a new one now. And we got Wes Noodles, the best nickname of them all.
OG.
And we're so glad. I think he made that for himself.
That's going to be a first.
Oh, well,
Wow.
May not be the last.
It definitely won't be the last.
So we're so glad you guys decided to join us on this video. Be sure to hit a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another video. We'd sure appreciate it, because we try to hit this thing up every week for this show at least, and I'm trying to add more shows. I actually just was with the All-American 400 this past weekend with Matt Weaver, and I got a lot of footage from that. I'm ready to put all together, but this episode is special because we're talking about the biggest news of the entire day, November 4th, a day that will live in the history books as, quite simply, one of the biggest, it's already been said, one of the biggest acquisitions of any in sports history, basically, as it's been said already. I tried to explain it to a coworker today because I was so hyped about the news. I was like, okay, so like, imagine you like baseball, right? I was like, imagine the New York Yankees deciding, they waking up one day and like, you know what, I'm gonna buy the MLB. And so they did. But honestly, like this is like one of the biggest flexes that Roger Penske could have ever done. It's like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy this, pocket change. Because,
you still haven't really saw what happened yet. It's been a big lead up to it, but yeah, you still haven't said exactly what happened. Yeah. I actually want to hear this. I've been waiting for it. What happened, Brandon, today?
What? What's the big lead up? What are you talking about?
This big lead. No, you've just spent the last 2 minutes having this big introduction. I want to hear what actually happened.
I'm sorry. I think everybody knows what happens, or you wouldn't have clicked on this video. I think the video is going to be titled "What Happened."
Oh, okay.
Roger Penske acquired. Roger Penske acquired the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the IndyCar series, and IMS Productions, all from the Holman Company, which has been an acquisition of all of these rights and titles since the end of the Second World War.
74 years.
74 years. And it's time for a new chapter in the books.
Yeah. Ryan, you mentioned it earlier today that we got to work the last race with the track owned by the Holman Group. I thought that was actually kind of a cool fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know who, but yeah.
That was probably me.
Yeah. So how do we want to dive into this?
I'm not really sure. I mean, there's so much to talk about. First of all, did you guys watch a lot of you watch the press conference live? I kind of waited till later to watch it after it was already over with. I kind of got halfway through. Go ahead. What's the point? Oh, okay.
Just watch the mouths. That's awesome.
Okay, well,
Something's going on. I don't know what.
So
That's great.
Should we talk about the track first? What Roger would probably want to do with it?
sure, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
You're gonna go with me.
You started.
I thought Donald was going to talk about it.
Yeah, Donald, you gotta be willing to
can't-
back these things up. When you bring it up, you gotta
Okay,
back them up.
Don't you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. Well,
Go for it,
what I,
Donald.
what I saw on Twitter, is he says he wants to make it the entertainment capital of Indiana, which
The world.
it should be the world because I
It's
mean,
like
what
not
else?
only the
I thought it
racing
was.
capital of the world, but the entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
was one
I
of the
believe what
quotations.
Roger Penske specifically said, and this might be verbatim, so it's not specifically. He says, we already have the racing capital of the world here in Indiana. We want the racing capital of the world, not the racing, the entertainment capital of the world also to be here in Indiana.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but
that's more of like a resort destination,
the-
entertainment.
We could make India a resort. That'd be kind of cool.
the way that David Land analyzed it this afternoon was saying that basically he intends for this to be possibly like a casino out in the area, or hosting a PGA golf tour event on their major league calendar, whatever you want to call it, on their golf course, to generate an overflow of extra revenue, so that Roger will be able to take these bold risks that he's intending to take with some of the propositions that he brought up very quickly. So like he obviously had these very planned, set in stone, a 24-hour race either with WEC or IMSA, and also bringing Formula One back was discussed. And he was very adamant also about the Brickyard 400 and saying it's 27 years of history. I don't want to break that up. And he's like, this business is not broken. I'm not really sure who he was trying to prove wrong. Who was telling him that the business was broken?
Everyone. Mostly.
Well, I mean, the thing is that
All I've heard from most of you guys has been that the Brickyard 400 is the worst race ever.
Well, yeah, I think the Brickyard 400 is one of the weakest
well, I think that's
races as of late on the NASCAR calendar. But I just meant like the racing business as a whole. What was he referring
the
to?
Okay.
Speedway.
I
The
thought we
Holman
were talking
company
about
is
the Brickyard
Yeah.
400.
So the Holman, Tony George, and the Holman company over the past decade maybe has not been what it has once been. I'm not that knowledgeable with the full history of the Holman family, and I just know they do they're the grand marshals for the 500, and that's another one of the things that was brought up. That do you realize now that Roger Penske is going to be given the command to start engines at the 104th running of the 500? It'd be kind of funny, but
I'm down for that.
So one thing that a lot of people are, at least a lot of the IndyCar community is looking back on, is this actually is going to really, I think if you're an IndyCar fan, this is like one of the best days ever. Because Tony George was not looked at very positively from the IndyCar community, mostly because of what he did in the early 90s, pretty much causing the start of the split, which was like when CART was running, Roger Penske was pretty much owning, well, he was part of the owners of CART. So now that Roger Penske has everything under his control, I think if you're an IndyCar fan, you're beyond excited because
unlimited power.
Pretty much. I mean, if you look at what
way, though,
if you look at where the CART World Series was before the split fighting started in around like 93-ish. So like 93, 94, early 90s when IndyCar was like, most people don't know this, but like Indy 500 ratings were better than the Daytona 500 ratings, like constantly. Like IndyCar was as good if not better nationally than NASCAR was before the split happened. So
And
I
that's
wouldn't
what
be
NASCAR took
surprised.
the big advantage. Is,
Yeah. NASCAR took a lot of the oval fans from IndyCar when the split happened. Yeah. I think that with Penske taking over, I mean, and technically since NASCAR started to struggle, I think IndyCar and NASCAR will probably be close to equal footing in a few years.
Right. And what
I think they'll both be on an up track. Like, I think NASCAR is pretty much the lowest they're going to get.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'm thinking around 2022, when both series will now have new engines. NASCAR will be in the second year of their Generation 7, and IndyCar is supposed to have like new rules for their chassis for 2022. So since Penske took over, it means we might see like multiple chassis for that year.
Yeah.
So.
And what I really hope is that with Roger Penske, you know, he brought up that story of being of his first time making a trip to Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 1951 or around there when he was 14 years old, when his father brought him to see the roadsters and everything. And he got the racing bug, as he said it, immediately then. And, you know, his track record ever since his time in the professional world, the motorsport world, has been nothing but just it's obvious that Roger Penske he's the captain for a reason, you know, and he's had so much success. He's got the Presidential Medal of Freedom this year, and just fresh off IndyCar championship. He's looking to defend his NASCAR championship this year. But like it's clear. It's always been clear to me, as long as I've been old enough to know who Roger Penske is, that like the way his mannerisms, the way he does business, the way he conducts his business with his employees, the way he expects them to conduct themselves, all around the track atmosphere and everything, he is just an all-out class professional, and that I've always come to really respect. And like nobody, and as they've said, like nobody probably deserves this or is more qualified to take over this stewardship role than Roger Penske.
Yeah.
And so I think it's in really, really good hands moving forward. And what I hope is that he will propel IndyCar in such a way, and IMS, that it will force NASCAR and the powers that be at NASCAR to really do something to stay relevant. Because I really want IndyCar to succeed by leaps and bounds and outperform NASCAR in every way over the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a NASCAR fan, but really, as a NASCAR fan, no, you should want this as a NASCAR fan. You should want IndyCar. Yeah, you should want IndyCar to be the best there is and make NASCAR go, man, we got to do better. And like really take a good look in the mirror, look what IndyCar is doing, and follow suit. And
that's pretty much what NASCAR did, or not NASCAR. That's pretty much what IndyCar did after the split happened.
Yeah. They have to help build each other or it's not going to work. Yeah.
Like if you're looking at it in terms of what 30 years ago, the series had basically flopped where
and
NASCAR is huge and IndyCar is not as big.
I want IndyCar to be like as good as you're saying, but if you're saying that NASCAR is going to, if you're saying the NASCAR was going to be as bad as IndyCar is now compared to what IndyCar will be in the future, I'm just imagining that in my head. I'm like, boy, I don't want that just for NASCAR. But I do agree with that. I do want IndyCar to be way more popular as the decades move forward. And I think this is honestly a great move too. I was supporting this whole thing this whole day. This is awesome for the sport, and I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, I just don't want there to be a monopoly or like a one clear dominance of racing in North America. I want them to constantly be building each other up to be better and better. Not to feel like, there's no competition, so we don't have to try.
Yeah.
in the same situation with the two broadcasters in NASCAR. If Fox goes away, that'll allow NBC to slack. So
Yep.
in a way, we kind of need both of them. But speaking of what I was talking about earlier with like building each other up, Roger Penske was very vocal about more talks of having double headers with the two series.
Yes.
And he is definitely a man that would take that risk and make that happen. And
That's probably my favorite part of this whole day is hearing that
very
Roger
exciting.
wants to take risks. Out of this whole day, I'm really excited about that. That we have someone leading
Finally.
not only one of the biggest sports in North America, but also leading one of the greatest tracks in North America. And saying that he wants to take big risks. That's so good to hear.
His track record proves that he's much more than talk. He will do action, and he knows how to start. He's ran tracks. He's owned teams. He's drove cars, and he's done pretty much everything there is to do in the motorsports industry. And he started California Speedway. He brought Michigan out of bankruptcy in the early 70s. And he doesn't own them anymore, but look at them today. They're still thriving. Auto Club Speedway is still thriving.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been without Roger Penske's business genius.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of like a Donald Trump of the motorsport world.
He kind of reminds me of Donald.
He's a little less controversial.
Yeah, without all the controversy. I don't want to say that like
he doesn't have the mannerisms.
Without all the controversy, he is the business tycoon of the motorsports world.
He is,
and from what I've never met him in person. I've seen the back of his head, as a yellow shirt. But I've heard from everything I've heard in person, once you get up close to meet him, he's just, tap you on the shoulder, ask how you're doing, if you're in that kind of relations with him.
Have any of you guys have met Roger Penske before, right?
I've seen him.
Never.
I mean, I've seen him. I didn't actually get to talk with him.
Okay, so at Homestead about a couple years ago, it was after an Xfinity race, and I was doing what I usually do, like on same thing as yellow shirts on pit road, walking up and down. And this is after the race, and I turn the corner and I see Roger Penske there, and for some reason, instinctively, I just take off my hat and just try to shake his hand and say congratulations. I didn't even know if he'd won anything that night. No.
Congratulations on beating you.
Turns out he said thank you and walked off. Turns out he won the owner's title for that night. With the points.
You got lucky.
I got very lucky.
You got lucky. You congratulated him for something.
That was my memory of me, Roger, saying just take off my hat randomly and saying congratulations, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, he probably already had the Owners' Championship won before Homestead.
Probably. So I'm looking forward to the F1 coming back to Indianapolis. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Buy tickets.
What's this talk of possibly being under the lights? Or is that just for the endurance races?
Please. Yes. Indianapolis needs lights.
Yeah, that would mean
the only problem
installing lights.
The only problem I don't see Indianapolis having lights is that it's literally in the middle of a town.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
but
it's in a neighborhood.
It's literally in the middle of a neighborhood.
I understand that.
And
they're gonna have to deal with it.
World Endurance Challenge or IMSA can definitely do a night race there because they have headlights. It's no problem for them. The only. To be honest, the only race that really needs lights for it is the Brickyard because 4th of July in the summer.
No, yeah.
I would want to see an Indianapolis 500 at night. I would want to see. I would love to see that. That'd be cool as hell.
Brian,
you make a lot of people mad.
You make me really mad right now.
I thought we were taking risks, Ryan. I thought we were taking risks here.
Did you say?
Brian, we can take risks, but we're not going to ruin tradition.
Did you just say the Indy 500 under the light?
Cool. I'd be down for that. I would
I mean,
agree.
seeing like an Indy car at Indianapolis under the lights would be cool, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like if that was on a practice day or like qualifying, that'd be cool, but not.
Yes.
Yeah,
that too.
GP under the lights would be cool.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be
It's,
acceptable.
I think the only thing with
Wait.
the GPs, it's a little bit too early in the year to run it under the lights. It'd be too cold.
Moving to that's no problem. Just move it to the next later on. What's up, Wes? Yeah.
Let's just take Indianapolis Motor Speedway and push it somewhere else. Oh yeah. Oh boy, 8 a.m.
Untitled
yeah.
a good show.
So this morning,
Goodbye, Indianapolis
so
Motor Speedway at 8 in the morning.
yeah. So I stole the meme that Ryan quickly made this morning in our Snapchat group and smacked it on Twitter, and quite a few people enjoyed that.
I got so much karma on Reddit for that. So
You put it on Reddit?
too.
yeah, I put it on the Don't Forget the Heat, the Don't Forget the Heat subreddit, and I got like 56. Like if you look at the hot posts, I have the top post on it right now. So
Did you? Oh wow, nice. So did you mention the top part of it too? Like Squidward, like who in their right mind would buy the biggest racetrack in the world at 8 in the morning?
I just put down who buys Indianapolis Motor Speedway at 8 in the morning. Oh boy, 8 a.m. Oh, and then Roger Penske. Oh boy, 8 a.m.
Eats the track.
I mean,
I'm sorry. Memes are integral to this channel.
you know, Roger didn't really say anything about the GP.
Wait. Let's let Wes get there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. NASCAR.
Yeah, that's an idea.
It takes a few days to change over the course, though.
Obviously, but
Ooh. I like that.
mean, so the thing is with the IndyCar Grand Prix was that it was kind of built to help build the Indy 500 back up. And like, to be honest, I think if it's kind of served its purpose,
yeah,
like I would be okay if we didn't have the IndyCar Grand Prix anymore, if we got the Indianapolis Grand Prix as a Formula One race instead of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be fine if we had like a late August not late August. It'd probably have to be like early September.
That's paired. Oh, well, if we're gonna pair the Indy GP with a NASCAR doubleheader, it'd be 4th of July weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, I'd be fine if Indy cars just went back to racing on the oval at the Speedway and F1 raced on the road course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe with WEC or IMSA. I mean, IMSA technically did race at the Speedway because IMSA and NASCAR tried to do a super weekend in like 2013 and 2014, and because they ran IMSA on like Friday, and then they had Xfinity on Saturday and Cup on Sunday. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out that well. So,
What year was that?
2013, 2014.
Okay.
So really quick on endurance racing, somebody who really got pushed to the side with their news dropout today was Kyle Busch announcing that he was going to be in a Lexus GT3 car for the Rolex 24 in 2020. And he picked one of the worst days, PR-wise, to release this information. If he had known, if his PR guys knew what was going on today.
I don't think anyone knew what was going on today because NASCAR, no one in NASCAR knew until Roger told Jim France last night.
Yeah, and apparently the inception of this idea went all the way back to Laguna Seca. Whenever Roger Penske,
wait, really?
Yeah,
Like that was like 2-3 weeks ago. I thought that was.
Oh, it was like a month. That was like 2 months ago.
That's what he said in the interview, and that's what he said at the press conference today. I'm pretty sure
that was 2 months ago. From what I've heard, also, I think from Mario Andretti, the Speedway, like they've been looking to sell for almost a year now, And it was, Tony George went up to Roger Penske and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about stewardship before the season finale, Laguna Seca." And then they started emailing each other, and Roger was like, Roger really wanted to get done fast if they were going to get it done. So
yeah, and apparently all the business mess will finally all be completed by January. So that might be the starting point when he can finally start really making actual changes. Yeah, but he did say that starting tomorrow, he's going to go take a tour all the way around the facility, every little bit of it. Take that as you will. I don't know if he's going to be walking every single bit. There might be some golf carts involved, but
it's Roger. Well, yeah, he'll be.
Yeah, but he's going to make a top 10 list of things to improve, to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, those are awful. Dude, no kidding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of
or the actual bathrooms inside the track too.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if part of Roger Penske's thing would be if I was him, I'd put it in stadium seating in a lot of places. The Speedway is great, but if it had some stadium seating in a lot of places, and maybe I'm thinking at the level of the renovation they did at Wrigley Field a few years ago, where they pretty much it's pretty much like the Project 100 they did. So the upper level of the front stretch, those areas of the grandstands are really, really nice. Mm-hmm. And if Roger's probably thinking that area, taking the upper deck there, and if he puts that to even half of what the track is now, it would be a lot better.
So you're saying more bucket seats for the track on the front stretch?
I'd say more bucket seats, and maybe even some of the areas that have seats right now. I'm thinking a good way would probably be just to take some grandstands down and then just have temporary grandstands go in during May. And also putting in casinos and other stuff, and the casino proposition. You could put a casino, you could put in hell, during the NASCAR weekend, you could turn the infield into a fairground.
But you mean it's almost like they can have a concert in there?
Hey, that's a good idea.
I mean, they have concerts already. I think they should, to be honest, if I was a Speedway, I would put in
a dirt track there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think about putting in a permanent amphitheater inside the area, maybe even outside the Speedway.
Yeah.
Something Circuit of the Americas has an amphitheater that is inside of the quadruple apex corner.
Yeah.
At the end of the Speedway, the Austin 360. And they have I think they have Bruno Mars and Taylor Swift and a bunch of huge name artists play or doing concerts the night before the race.
They had a Pink this year.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely attracting a different demographic than Indy did this year with Foreigner and Kool and the Gang.
I think they actually had Kool and the Gang at F1 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, they're just hitting all the motorsport spots.
They'll be at the Daytona 500 next year.
Yeah. Are they really? Is that
I don't know.
They should definitely come to Daytona.
He's we're going to go to Daytona too. Well, we'll even go to the Rolex 24.
Down the boogie down.
Yeah.
Kool and the Gang hits
the
them all.
American concerts. They'll go to Super Sebring. They'll go everywhere. Man, they'll go to the May Kansas race, dude.
No one so boring.
I want to go to the May Kansas race.
Yeah. Do you guys what else do you want to talk about with this?
Formula One.
Oh, sorry. One more thing about Roger. He's
Roger.
So he's one of the big concerns that I had immediately when I saw the news was okay, obviously a conflict of interest. You are a owner of the team. You're on top of the pit box every weekend. around IndyCar whenever, in the season. And he immediately addressed that after Jenna Fryer asked him over the phone, and others as well. That, yeah, she was one of the reporters that was over the phone conference. Yeah, we covered that. But he was basically saying out in public that, like, kind of what I expect. I actually called it in the chat before the press conference. Another one of the things that I called that was like, yeah, he's going to focus on being the owner of IMS IndyCar.
I mean, in perspective, Tony George was also a team owner.
Yeah.
He owned part of Carpenter team, so I don't think that makes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is definitely not unprecedented, but still, like, I think Roger Penske has a bigger impact.
I'll say the one thing I was worried about was whether he was going to get rid of the fastest 33 and think about guaranteed spots.
That was Jenna's other question. Was like, a lot of other fans are concerned about if you're going to allow all these. And he's like, well, I can't confirm or deny anything about that right now. He's like, definitely we got to take care. We got it. It does attract attention whenever you have people that can get bumped out, but also we got to look after our regular guys. So when he said we got to look out for our regular guys, it kind of like, oh.
I mean, the thing is that I think from the press conference he did say that was pretty much going to go to Mark and Jay, and that would be their decision. And from what it sounds like, their decision is fastest 33.
Yes,
so I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're looking at Roger, if he's looking at it from like an entertainment perspective,
that's the better deal. Yeah.
That's bump day is going to be the most, except for carb day, and the 500 is probably going to be the most popular or like highest rating day of the year for them. So.
And plus, I will write a very angry letter to Roger Penske if he makes it all shoe-ins, because our very namesake depends on bump day. Darn it!
They're still bumping in other places.
Yeah,
yeah.
When you guys say bumping, I'm imagining like vehicle bumping, not like taking like just standings or anything. I'm actually like imagining real bumping.
Yeah, well, the original intention of it was Fernando Alonso and bump day, but there's many other ways to
interpret it.
Bump day. Yeah. There's bumping and racing. Robin's racing. Yeah. Okay, so you want to finally talk about F1? I think I've said everything I want to say about Roger Penske, but still, yeah. Me too.
Yeah. What, did you not get your rain jacket from?
I can get you. I can give you mine. My rain jacket's too big. I just give you mine.
Sad.
Apparently, our like IMS bingo card thing. I
never got that.
I messaged Brad about it, and he's like, "Yeah, actually, if you complete the bingo card, it's just a drawing.
Yeah,
like, you win." I was like, "Oh, that's bull hockey.
It's dumb."
But I guess I didn't read the fine print under the bingo card. But I made multiple bingos, so don't I get like multiple entries?
Multiple drawings.
Oh, okay. Well, I just had bad luck. But yep. Gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So he didn't want to comment on exactly how much it was to purchase all of this because of them all being private companies and such, and they don't want to discuss that. But I forgot what source David Land got.
Robin Miller said it was around $2 billion.
Yeah, $2 billion with a B, and that's
billion.
Billion, as in B as in balloon.
In perspective, I think Formula One sold for around $8 billion to Liberty Media when they bought them.
Suckers.
But that's a mighty flex.
Yes,
like was mentioned at the beginning. Okay, that is finally all I have to say about the main story for this special episode. Formula One. What you got?
We had
Formula
Mexico,
One.
and we had U.S. 6-time world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get in there, Lewis. So Lewis Hamilton's a 6-time world champion, but the bigger news, that everyone cared about, was the regulations for 2021. So I kind of have them here on my phone. So this is what where is it? This is what the 2021 Formula One car is going to look like.
I'm iffy on the wing of it. It looks kind of cool, but it looks kind of weird.
So one of the things is they're switching to the 18-inch rims. Apparently, they're going to have covers on them too, which will be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely
That's
noticeable, right, when you show it, the rim difference.
But one major thing is that this will be like completely different from the F1 cars they have now, mostly because they're going to have ground effects on the cars for the first time since I think the 80s, when F1 banned it. Another thing is that you kind of notice with the car here, like you can see, well, for the ground effects, you can see the Venturi tunnels kind of start right here.
Yeah.
There's no barge boards, which I'm a huge fan of. And also the halo is a lot more integrated into the car design.
Yeah.
So it actually
looks a lot sleeker.
It looks a lot better.
And one of the things I'm most excited about it is what you mentioned before was the mention of no more DRS.
I think from what F1 said, like it looks like they could still use DRS. But obviously, if you're IndyCar or you're Formula One, your main objective with your next car is to either get rid of make DRS or push to pass unnecessary.
Because that's just like a better Band-Aid for a bigger problem that can't pass.
NASCAR.
Yeah.
The engines, they're pretty much keeping the same. Another thing they put in is a $175 million competitive cost cap. So pretty much anything going towards research and development, or anything towards, I think, basically anything that can gain them a competitive advantage will be kept under 175 million. Now the team's going to really keep to those.
Yeah, but I have a question for you, Ryan. Do you think that's going to affect the excitement? Because I think one of the biggest things I've taken away from Formula One is just how much they're like the wars of the battles between the teams of how much they're willing to spend, and like how that reflects on track. So like if there's a cap, is that going to make all the teams more equally matched?
So technically, like $175 million, to put it into perspective, to run a full-time IndyCar program is like $3 million. So it's a lot of money. Like a competitive full-time NASCAR schedule is around $30 million.
Ferrari put $500 million into their program last year.
Yeah, so that's also going into it's going into a lot of stuff. So the things that are excluded from this is like marketing. I think it's marketing, driver salaries, or some maybe driver. Only the salaries for the top 3 employees and the drivers, I believe. They just send it to the FIN. They're gonna do a trial run of it next year. So it will not be enforced, so teams can't get penalized for it. But as soon as it hits 2021, if you break the financial budget, like the harshest they will go is that you'll be disqualified from winning the world championship, which huge penalty.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah. I mean, the entire goal of this is just to narrow the gap between the best teams and the worst teams. And to be honest, if we get four teams that can win a race, I'll be happy. It's a success.
That's better than what you have now.
Yeah, because right now you have 3 teams, 6 cars.
What I can say about this is that this is going to have to happen eventually. Because if we were just going to keep on doing what we were doing, then it was just going to get worse and worse.
And I mean, I think the Formula One cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how they look now, but to be honest, I don't know, the downforce and just the dirty air that comes off of it's just not making good racing. Obviously from what I've heard from, I think they reduced. So it used to be that you lost 45% downforce if you were trailing a car, and I think they cut that down to almost like 20%.
Yeah,
you lose 20% of your downforce.
You shared a graphic with us showing really the aero change of the dirty air to clean air with the new package, and definitely another thing the NASCAR should look at.
Yeah. The teams are going to try to meet in the middle on that. They're probably going to find like a middle ground, so it's obviously not going to be like we're not going to see the levels that we're seeing right now. But yeah, I know they're also potential to go up to 25 races during the season.
Ooh,
and there's now that's
yes.
the maximum that they can go to.
I'm down with that's more
from what they said. From what they said, they're not really looking towards it though, because they said they are very, very focused on having quality races over quantity of races. NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Ryan,
NASCAR. Ryan, this is an IndyCar fan speaking. You still have suffering to do.
No.
You didn't suffer a split.
There will
joking
be
aside.
Quality over that quote pissed me off more than what you were saying. Quality over quantity was just the stupidest thing I've heard out of your mouth the last few days. I mean, my God, Ryan, come on! I'm just gonna
Ryan. Are you really old enough to have suffered the split? To remember the suffering of the split?
I'm not on that side of things, Jim.
Yeah,
22.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't talk about
I think I outdate all of you.
We're not going to talk about that.
I think, aren't you? Well, I know, Wes, you're like the youngest of us. Yeah,
I'm 22.
Okay,
you child.
22 as well. So
I'm 23.
Yeah, Donald's got us all beat here.
I'm the old man.
Okay, so again, I don't agree with the whole quantity.
No, that's what the
F1 thing.
That's what the F1 owners said. That's not my quote. That's not my. Yeah, the F1 owners said that they are looking to have the best races they can have before. Like they don't want to add crappy tracks to the schedule.
Texas,
Texas, Kansas, Las Vegas. What was that? I'm sorry, I have a cold. Kentucky.
Already said it.
Yeah, already said it. Chicagoland. Yeah. So
Formula One from the Kentucky Roval.
If F1 goes to Indianapolis, I'm not going to be opposed at all.
Good.
It probably won't. I want it to. It probably won't.
I mean, the track's F1 has like an FIA grade 1, so it can. Yeah, that's those garages are.
It's for the cup cars right now.
Yeah, they use it for the cup.
Yeah. And when we were there, it was used as
like where they had the drive for the BC39 stuff. Yeah. Those are the F1 garages.
They open on the other side too.
They're two-way. Yeah, those are the F1 garages actually. Yeah.
Cool.
So they could. No.
The only thing they need.
They actually changed those in like 2000 for the F1 Grand Prix. There.
The only thing they need to put back is the lights overhead, start finish, so they can do the lights out.
Yeah, and they can do that pretty easily.
Yeah, doesn't take much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they did that for the Indy. Indy GP in 2014.
I realize that people got hurt, and I know it's not a great idea, but I still don't like that they abandoned that so quickly. Like, if they had done something to make it more safe, I would have liked to see them try it. If they kept on wrecking it, then I get it. But it felt like they did it once, it didn't work out, and they are just leaving it, which I get, but still, just I want to see them try it a few more times. I do.
I mean, I know if they, in 2022, when IndyCar gets the hybrid, it will have an electrical start on it, so that's not going to be a problem anymore. But in my perspective, I think rolling starts is like something that IndyCar has always had, and I think they should keep it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just rolling starts on road courses are cool.
They are.
So
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything we want to mention in this special episode? Obviously we've been involving all open wheel news here. Do you want to mention Hinchcliffe, any? That was the big story before Penske. Yeah.
I feel bad for that guy.
F.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shake hands.
Yep.
Yeah. Listening to that.
I know
I would
that.
say no. I would say no.
I was listening to that debacle on the Marshall Pruitt podcast.
I'm pretty sure from everything from Hinch's standpoint, that is only if he cannot get a ride. So if he gets a ride at another team, then he doesn't have to worry about that at all. Like that basically buys him out of his, takes him out of his contract. The thing is that I think Zach Brown said he would still most likely put him in a seat for the Indy 500.
Not worth it.
So
No.
I don't know. I don't think Fernando's planning on. I don't think Fernando's planning on doing
Yeah, I don't think so.
the 500 next year.
Well,
I think he wants to see if McLaren's
Because
actually, not crapping themselves and when they go to May next year.
besides the Hinchcliffe controversy, what do you guys think about Oliver Askew and Pato O'Ward being the two drivers for McLaren?
I know that
mean,
Pato Award was
general
great
thoughts.
last year. It was great. I'm excited for Pato Award.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pato
taking the
technically,
Indy Lights champion and
Pato
Or-
actually won the Indy Lights Championship.
Yeah.
Colton didn't.
two Indy Lights
And
champion.
then he went to
Well, there was also a whole like shebackle about that because he got. I don't know if he got screwed over at Harding, but then like he was at Carlin, which was not as good of a team. He still did great when he was in Carlin equipment, except for getting bumped. But then he got the Red Bull Junior contract, and like if you get asked to drive for Red Bull and there's potential to go to Formula One, like you take that deal, you take that.
You take that and run with it.
That would have been cool to see Pato in Formula One because I'd been like, oh man, he was an IndyCar driver.
Marcus Ericsson did the other way.
Yeah. I mean, Felix was on the road to be I think Felix might have been on the road to be a Formula One driver, but he went to Formula E. But Chip Ganassi, # Team Sweden, plus Kurt Busch.
Yep.
And Scott Dixon.
yeah.
Well, Kyle Busch with his Rolex 24 news.
None of you got to deal with that. I got to deal with that. I'm gonna hate that weekend.
Well,
Kyle said he was
hate
interested
that
in running the Indy 500
yes,
too.
that's what I was
I
saying.
hope he does.
Been asked again by Bob Pockrass about his Indy 500 wishes and what if that'll come true, and he'll be like his brother Kurt in 2014 doing the double.
I was about to say, hold up. What if the Busch brother double 2020?
The Busch
Kurt
double.
Busch as an entry for
Kurt
Ganassi.
and Kyle. I don't know what Kyle would run for.
Who do you think? Well, let's talk about that. Who would get
Probably
Kyle
Andretti.
Andretti, yeah.
Probably Andretti.
That would be smart, yeah.
I would say either Andretti or because I don't know. Kyle drives for Toyota.
Yeah, I can see it being a Chevy.
I don't. It might be a Chevy. It might be a Chevy team.
Nope.
Honda wouldn't give him a ride. Yeah.
Yeah, because he'd be driving Toyota later on.
I mean, technically.
No.
Well, when Kurt Busch ran
is why he can't do
when Kurt Busch ran the 500 in 14, he was driving for Chevy and NASCAR, but I think he drove for
Well, if Kurt Busch ever
Honda.
ran the Indy 500 again, especially this year or next year, it definitely would be Monster Energy on that car with Ganassi because that's already been
We already saw that paint.
Sorry, second place after at Gateway.
That was a sick.
But
sick
Kurt
car.
can't win. Kurt can't race the one because Scott didn't win the championship again.
But what do you think? Do you think M&M's would show up with Andretti or whomever on an Indy car?
Yeah.
Just thinking an M&M's Indy car, it's just like, what?
There's a weird sponsorship around that.
It would look really weird in an Indy car.
Yeah.
Heck, make it Skittles.
Skittles.
Skittles Indy car.
Half and half, that'd be awful. Like half Skittles, half.
Oh, that looked terrible.
Yeah, I hate those paint schemes.
More sophisticated, like Mars bar, just Mars as the big parent company.
Sophisticated. That's a word. That's a word. Sophisticated.
IndyCar, yes.
Brandon, you killed Brian. What have you done?
Brian.exe.
What have you done?
Brian.exe.
That was great. I love that. All I'm going to say about this news is the best part is that he announced that he's going to be driving in one of the lower series for the 24 hours, so I don't have to watch him go around track as much. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
That I can say. And I'm not even, yeah.
Given his single interview with Bob Pockrass, giving the news today, I saw like a different Kyle Busch when he's talking about endurance racing for some reason. Like I don't know
what. He's changed. Yay!
I don't know what it was.
And then Brian's like, I still hate him with all my soul.
I gotta hear this damn crap. Oh, he's changed.
He gets to drive a real race car.
At a real racetrack.
At a real racetrack.
Yeah, we'll see how he's been complaining so much about NASCAR not being a real race car right now. Let's see what happens when we actually put him in the stuff he wants. Yeah. Then put your money where the pedal is.
Just watch. He just like kicks everyone's butt while he's driving.
Oh.
Yeah, I say an early out.
I'm hoping for an early out.
And they'll do like a
yeah,
weird
but I think he's gonna be teammates with. He might be teammates with Townsend. Well,
God.
Poor guy.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be his teammates with Lexus.
Yeah, I think Townsend drives for Lexus.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
When do you want to talk about the next episode? We're going to talk about that, or
yeah. So we made this big special one, and then obviously last week we missed Martinsville because reasons. So we're gonna make a venture maybe tomorrow night or the next night or one of these nights this week to right our wrongs here and make a NASCAR centered episode again, talking Martinsville, talking Texas, and what needs to be talked about. Yeah, oh gosh, Texas. What needs to be talked about between those two races?
Nothing needs to be talked about Texas.
Yeah, no. We can skip over that.
All right, here's your summary of Texas.
Hey, save it. That's a good preview. We'll save it.
That's pretty good.
And then Phoenix, we'll talk about what we're going to be seeing at Phoenix.
ISM Raceway.
Oh my gosh.
ISM. But speaking of ISM, Penske on their social media accounts on both Instagram,
Did they buy it?
on both Instagram and Twitter had a special gift wrapped car. It was a fourth car, and by my analysis, it's obviously a cup car because of that giant spoiler.
Giant ass spoiler.
Definitely not Austin Cindric's regular Xfinity car. Why would they cover up the Xfinity car as their fourth car?
I think it's another.
I do too.
I think
it's another Miller Lite Christmas.
No, not Joseph Newgarden. One of two things. Joseph Newgarden was my wild pick. Like he's run Phoenix in an Indy car. Like this is gonna be his debut.
Watch me be right. Watch you be right tomorrow. I'd love that.
I hope you are.
I would love that.
But,
wrong.
Yeah, wrong. Very wrong.
It's wrong.
Wrong.
Okay, but listen, I think the safest bet is one of two things. One, it's going to be Austin Cindric's Xfinity scheme. In the scheme is going to be a special Penske IMS paint scheme. It's going to be a very commemorative passing of the torch, love letter to the Holman family. Yeah, either that or it's going to be kind of what we were talking about as well, a Austin Cindric introduction to the Cup Series as a fourth car entry, and we considered all the number combinations, and the only one that makes sense with Team Penske is yes, that one.
Perfect.
Someone should have the number 100 in the sport. That'd be awesome. If someone had like
No, but the one number that makes sense is 02.
Yeah.
And the last time that was used, to my knowledge, was 2001 with
Ryan Newman.
Ryan with Ryan Newman. Was it used with Logano before?
Logano was the 02 and Joe Gibbs as well in like 2008 or 2007.
See, I didn't want to say it too confidently because I do remember.
But you're right. That the most successful one was Ryan Newman for sure. He was way more successful.
Ryan Newman.
I do remember Joey Logano's Home Depot car that was 02 for a little bit, just getting some quick starts before his full-time season. So that might be that. See, 02 has been the tale of rookie cars with Team Penske in the past. Well, that was Joe Gibbs. Doesn't make sense. What am I talking about?
I think it's going to be like a Miller Lite Christmas scheme.
I do too.
That's too predictable, dude.
Yeah.
Are we overthinking this?
It's not spicy enough.
I mean, that would be the predictable route because it is Christmas wrapped after all. Maybe I'm looking too far into this.
I'm just a realist. That would be cool.
Yeah.
What do you mean by an Indianapolis livery though? Like,
I mean the Penske.
Let's come to that.
And I'm at.
Just the wing and wheel.
Okay, Wes, if someone had to sponsor ramen noodles, would you support that car?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, you would.
I'd buy some ramen noodles right away.
Damn.
He has Wes noodles. Do you not?
Just regular
What do you have?
noodles.
Oh,
Do you doubt this man's ability to contain all the crates of noodles he wants?
Are you challenging him?
Uh-oh.
Are you challenging the noodle master?
Are you challenging me?
No, me.
I don't know either, man.
Okay, it is now midnight in Central
Right.
Time
actually, it's
And-
1 a.m.
on the
Yeah,
East
good night,
Coast.
guys.
So
Yeah, on the
this.
East Coast.
Whoa! We're just
Whoa,
gonna.
whoa.
We're just getting started.
Closing statements.
We're just getting started.
Do back to back.
Actually, you know what? We could. I mean,
Uh-oh.
I don't mind doing that.
No. We'll do this
Not
tonight.
happening.
So, so again, we thank you guys for watching this episode of the Get Bumped podcast, the special episode of Roger Penske owning the world and other open wheel news. And later on this week, we'll talk more about all the NASCAR sides of things and a little bit of my time with Matt Weaver, maybe if we get around to it.
I want to hear that. I'm
Yeah.
really interested in that. I'm really
Submit to the God King Roger Penske.
I'm more excited about that than the NASCAR side. I want to hear what your weekend was like.
It was pretty awesome. So, but yeah, we'll talk about it later on this week.
All right,
So,
bye, guys.
Peace.
That's
Peace.
about it. So be sure to like this video and subscribe, and we'll see you later on this week before Phoenix. Take care, guys.
Bye.